G'day guys, Dom here. So I know what you're thinking. 2 videos in 2 days, what is this shit? Well, the other day I was grinding a whole bunch of pens, got a lot of stuff done, I was up real late, and the next day I woke up and my back just said, fuck you. So yeah, I've been just cleaning stuff and doing random things and office work and stuff for the last 2 days. Essentially everything that doesn't involve me bending over or moving my back in any way to try and, you know, not become a cripple. Anyway, so yeah, that's all that's happening. I'll be right in a day or two, I'm sure. But we have some finished knives that I have to show you guys. Now, I actually finished these knives about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe even 3 weeks ago. There was actually 6 of these originally, and actually sold 2 of them and shipped them out. And the first one I sold actually arrived in America, so it's been at least 2 weeks. So a little bit late on this. But hey, better late than never. So, as you can guess by the title, we have 4 finished micro grunts. I'll talk about these really quickly. I've talked about micro grunts like 3 or 4 times, so I don't want to get into it too much because obviously I don't want to bore you guys. So I guess we'll start off with this guy right here. So, first off, you can see we've got the nice little micro grunt shape. I've actually changed the eyelet location, so the eyelets are up top instead of down here. That just makes it a little bit more compact, and it makes it easier to kind of open the knife because you've got a bit of a thumb ramp there naturally from the Kydex. So that's the sheath. Of course, standard DV blade sheath, nicely rounded and polished edges, so you can chuck this in a pocket nice and comfortably. Onto the blade. So we have one of my favorite G10s, which is black and blue G10, not black and blue, black and green G10. Very cool stuff. I've done a bit of a stippling pattern on these all around, and then heavily bead blasted to kind of melt those peaks together and give you that really cool LSD look, which is kind of grippy, but also comfortable, and it's not going to abrade your hand. It's just a really nice pattern for G10 like this, and I absolutely love doing it. And of course, you know, heavy rounding all around, so it's actually still comfortable. And of course, rounded spine all round. Even the inside of the sharpening notch is slightly rounded, just to make it a little bit stronger. Because one thing that really annoys me about sharpening notches is you see people just grind them in straight on. What that does is it gives you a sharp edge, which is potentially a point where the knife could break. So when I do a sharpening notch like this, I like to go around and just radius it ever so slightly with some sandpaper, just to make sure it's you know, not a sharp 90-degree edge. Doesn't make a huge difference, probably not, but it bothers me if I don't do it, so I do. As the stone washed all round, and then we've also got a nice brushed bevels on this, about 400 grit. It's a weird belt. It's a cork belt, so they have a different rating system for some reason. So 400 grit equivalent for the bevels. And yeah, of course, just screaming sharp on this guy. All of these guys are pretty much crazy sharp. Next up, again, Kydex sheath. This time around, we have an Asus stonewash blade, all the way around. And then Cans Micarta, Anzo pattern. And actually on this guy, the Anzo pattern is it's actually fairly good. On micro grunts, patterns are a little bit iffy because there's such a small area and there's so much chamfering, you kind of lose the pattern in the chamfering. But on this guy, it actually came out really nice. Cams Micarta, as I said, heavily sandblasted for grip and just aesthetics really. And then some of my last red G10, these are all really nice and sharp because I actually grind these very thin, and then I put a really shallow angle on these things to get the knives as sharp as I can, because they're a fairly shallow bevel. If you look at them, they're only about, you know, ½ an inch wide, and they're at an 1/8 inch thick stock, so you got to do whatever you can to thin out that edge to make it an actual nice cutting tool. And I mean, these guys are just really sharp. I'm a knife maker, so I've got no arm hair, but don't know if you can hear that or see that, but it is shaving It is shaving effortlessly. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. There we go. And of course, clicks in nicely. Next up, we have this bad boy. And this is actually a blem, unfortunately. The only thing that's wrong with this guy is that it was the first one to actually be made out of the blanks. So I overdid the chamfering on these 3 holes. So 1 or 2 of these holes is a little bit chattered, which I'm not a huge fan of. And that's the reason I've marked them down and I'm selling it as a blem, because I'm just not comfortable selling this for as much as it's worth if it's got an obvious flaw like that. But I also can't throw it away because I need to eat. So it's up on the website if you want it. It doesn't affect function whatsoever. It is purely an aesthetic thing. Besides that, the knife's all good. Asus stonewash all round. We've got a nice distressed logo on the back side, and then distressed hardware as well. and then forest green G10 and a forest green matching lanyard. I've actually been turning all my lanyards recently just to play around with my new lathe, and I've been really enjoying it. I think I might have figured out how to do it pretty easily without having to use the 4-jaw, which is very, very helpful because the 4-jaw is a bit of a pain in the ass. And last but definitely not least, probably one of my favorite color combinations for a micro grunt, we have the camo. So the reason I love the camo, as I've mentioned before, is because it looks kind of like a really cool plywood. But of course, you know, much cooler, much stronger than plywood. So it's brown, tan, green, and black. It's just really fun to play around with. As you guys can probably tell, I really like layer G10. It's just, I don't know, it's just my favorite to do. Besides that, as a stone ultra round, we have brushed hardware with a black inside of the screw, kind of a two-tone effect. And then, same with the blade, we have acid stonewashed, and then brushed bevels, again for the two-tone effect. And then matching bead all the way around. I've basically made this knife twice before, so yeah, if you want to see that, I've mentioned this in other videos and stuff. But yeah, another little nice camo micro grunt. Anyway, there we go, guys. Short and sweet. Again, I don't want to, you know, talk about these too long because I have actually done videos on them in the past. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.